Hey guys, how you doing? It's Deepak Shukla here again, and today I've got a really great question from Michael. So Michael said, I believe the hardest thing for me would be approaching women. I'm only 5'6", but other than that, I have the looks and the personality, just not the extra courage I need to actually walk up to them. What can I do to change this if possible? Thanks in advance. So Michael, first of all, being someone who's British Indian, there's definitely a perception that people have of me when I've dated and I've gone into any facet of life, to be honest with you. So I completely understand. It used to frustrate me that people would, for example, assume, and people make stereotypes for so many reasons, don't they? I've had people that thought that because I was an English literature major, they assumed that I would either be a journalist or a teacher. I mean, what else are you going to do with English, right? At the same time, when I was at university and I was studying English literature, everyone assumed that I studied business or economics or engineering because I was British Indian, right? So then there was that side of it. And then the third element to it was, when I got into a relationship with Daniela, certainly for her, and I think this is echoed amongst many people, the concept of like Indians when it comes to the world of dating. I mean, popularly across the world, the most typical symbol that people might think of when they think about Indians might be Apu, right? And that's changing a little bit now because of, major cinema and TV shows. And, we got together several years ago. So I completely understand that because you're 5'6", it means that you have this feeling that the world views you in a certain way. And certainly I know that, I was often nervous and felt that I needed to overcompensate because of this perception that people had of me. And you know what the incredible thing is the fact that you're 5'6" can really lead to an actual advantage because people have a lowered expectation of you, right? And what that means is it's one, your opportunity to surprise them because, as you said, you have got the looks and you have got the personality, right? And two, one of the most attractive things, and this actually crosses genders, okay? One of the most attractive things that I find in people is when they embrace who they are and they say, you know what, I'm British Indian. My mum has this wonderful English accent. She moved here when she was 7. My dad, he has this Indian accent. He talks like this, and I'm probably doing a really bad accent now, but I fell in love with the family that I've come from and the culture that I have. And when you embrace it, that sense of ownership that, hey, this is my space. I'm that 5'6" guy. You should see the world from my height. There are plenty of awesome things that you from way up there are missing out on. And you know what? I'm 5'6", and I absolutely love it. Everything is more cost effective. Guys that are 5'6" make amazing men in the military or whatever it might be. Okay, I am spitballing a little bit with this because you know of the certain advantages that you have, Michael, with where your height and who you are and where you are in the world. And my man, use it to your advantage. Embrace it, because you know what? Don't try and be like somebody else. Try and embrace yourself and recognize that some of those things that you perceive as being normal about yourself are actually extremely unusual. To give you a practical example of it, and this is going into a different world now, but the principle is exactly the same, that let's keep it to relationships. One of the most amazing things is that I can introduce the people that come into my life, and Daniela, for example, she hadn't really tasted a lot of Indian food, being where she was from in Italy, before we got into a relationship, and I was able to give her the gift of Indian food. I say give her the gift, take her to Indian restaurants, and that was something that was my competitive advantage. When I've gone into business meetings, they're like, Deepak, what makes you unique? And I'll say, you know what? I'm British Indian, so that means I'm gonna work harder than all of the other guys in the room because that's what Indians do, okay? And you could equally say, you know what? World is amazing. People have this vision of me, and I love blowing up that vision because, hey, I can swing for the trees. And, I'm saying things that probably might seem a little bit corny. And it's not about what I'm saying. It's about the ownership of who you are and embracing that and building that courage. And the way that you can change that is by, visualizing and actually, thinking, what are all your advantages? Writing down those advantages so you can think about what your competitive advantages are. You can write down what your competitive advantages are. And as a consequence, you can speak out about what your competitive advantages are. And Mickeal, I promise you that will be something so quirky and something that most, people, not even male or female, really do. And when you are able to take ownership of something that is uncommon about you, and you being, for example, 5'6", perhaps in your community, I don't know where in the world you're from, looking by the way that your first name's spelt, you might, for example, be Scandinavian or Central European, and it might be the case that men, or most men, are 5'9", 5'10" on average. Great, you stand out because you're not the average, right? You don't need to be above average. Really, actually means different, okay? And you're different. And when you become aware and take ownership of something like that, I really do think that the sky is the limit. So I hope that makes sense, Mickeal. And I would love for you to reframe the way that you see yourself, because being 5'6" is a very, very cool thing. I hope this helps. My name's Deepak Shukla.